Hey guys, it's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I guess apologies are kind of useless at this point, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm sorry I've been gone for 3 months, but a lot's happened to the point where I literally just could not record or even have the energy to. A lot of family issues and other personal issues kept getting in the way, changes of location, dysfunctional stuff. Ugh, just most of it just prevented me from getting to an outlet that I really, really enjoy doing. And seeing all your comments and your subscriptions, even though I haven't uploaded for so long, is really, really surprising to see. I thought everyone would have moved on and forgotten by now, but it seems nearly 10,000 of you are still hanging in there. And so I return with quite a big announcement, and I'm sure you can hear from the quality of this recording and the one you're about to hear in a few moments' time is a lot different. This is because I am in a true professional environment, courtesy of one of my closest friends. And so I have more than enough freedom to record now, and this also means I will be uploading weekly. Yes, weekly. It's finally possible. I've minimized every single distraction I had in the book, and I've actually got a full recorded backlog. And with a few editing tips, I've actually been able to speed up my process exponentially. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of me in the coming weeks, and I seriously look forward to working back on these projects again because it has been so damn long, and I'm finally in a position to do it. And in addition to that, I will be making a few updates to my Patreon page in the coming weeks as well. Now, if any of you didn't know, I actually do have a Patreon, and at the moment it's currently my only source of income while I'm in between jobs, and I'm going to be updating the page so you guys can go and see what's been going on, because I figured putting it all in a singular video might be a bit too much, and I don't want to make it too clickbaity, I guess. So anyway, on to the story. I return with an Octavia Clopfic this time, which is kind of ironic because the last story I did 3 months ago was an Octavia story. Now we're getting a mature one as well. This one is called A Mare Named Octavia. It's actually a shorter story of a bigger plot that's actually currently in the process of being written. So if it does end up being complete, I will be reading that one as well. But in the time being, this Clopfic is what we have. So, without further ado, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's good to be doing this again, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of me from now on. A Mare Named Octavia by PussPuss. It was the middle of autumn, or so you thought. Honestly, you never really paid attention to the days anymore. Ever since you found yourself in this strange new world of small, talking pastel-coloured horses, the days just seemed to blend together. It was a pretty uneventful place, well except for all the random monster attacks. Overall, it wasn't bad, and you even managed to make a good friend that went by the name Vinyl Scratch. She was pretty cool, but hardly ever around. On a day just when you thought things couldn't get any more boring, you were saved when Vinyl burst into your apartment with an excited and giddy glimmer in her eyes. You were no stranger to her happy outbursts, but this was different somehow. Before you could even speak, she quickly shoved a gold-coloured ticket into your hands and started to drag you outside with her magic. You tried to stop her and ask her what was going on, but her magical grip on your arm was too strong. She did explain on the way, saying that she got a ticket to a show that she knew you were going to love. Once you arrived at the venue, Vinyl quickly shoved you towards the front entrance and shooed you into the building. With a heavy sigh and a shake of your head, you reluctantly handed your ticket to the usher and entered into the theatre. Reading the ticket stub told you that your seat was in the middle row somewhere, and the entertainment for the night was by some pony named Octavia Melody. It was a pretty name. It didn't take long for the lights to dim and the sound of stomping hooves to fill the air as the show started. Then you saw her. A beautiful grey mare walked up to the only stool on the stage. her cello case strapped to her side, and then took a seat before setting her case down. Keeping her eyes closed, she reached down for her instrument before getting into position with her cello resting on her chest. Once she was ready, she lifted her bow into the air, silencing the stomping cheers in an instant. Then after a short moment of silence, she started to play. The song was just as beautiful as she was, and she played it with flawless elegance and grace that matched her demeanor perfectly, as if the song itself was a part of her. It was something you had never heard before, but its soothing melody took a hold of you, causing you to smirk and relax in your seat. With a calm sigh, you let go of your emotions and troubles and let the mare on the stage take you on a relaxing journey. Your friend Vinyl was right about this Octavia melody chick. He really did like her and wondered if there was a way to talk to the musician afterwards to praise her about her performance. Just then, much to your surprise, Octavia slowly opened one of her eyes and peered at you through her long, black lashes. Your eyes locked with hers and she smiled. Her soft, lightly purple gaze never left you, causing your heart to beat even faster in your chest. She was looking right at you. But why? It was true that you were a rare sight amongst the pony folk, but she seemed to know exactly where you would be without ever having to scan the crowd. Why was she looking at you? And how did she know exactly where you'd be sitting? Finally, you smiled back, causing her smile to widen slightly before she closed her eye again. Her expression softened back into a more serious and focused one as she continued to play her enchanting melody. That was strange, you thought, but shrugged it off. You enjoyed the rest of her performance till the very end. You felt your heart sink at the thought of not getting to hear any more of Octavia's music, or getting to see her play it. Maybe if you were lucky, you could see her outside with the rest of the crowd. After looking around outside for a while, you were about to give up, but just then, you heard a soft call from behind you. You quickly turned around, and there she was. With her cello in its case at her side, she peered up at you with her light purple eyes and smiled. "Good evening. My name is Octavia Melody." She spoke with soft eloquence. "It's a pleasure to meet you." After introducing yourself and complimenting Octavia on her performance, you began to make small talk. You found that it was quite easy to hold a conversation with the mare and discovered that you even held similar interests and hobbies. After walking around town and talking for hours, you seemed to have lost track of time as the sun started to set over the mountains. You were about to say your goodbyes and ask if you could meet up again later, but Octavia had other plans. "Our night doesn't have to end here," she said with a sultry voice, peering up at you through half-lidded eyes, causing your hearts to skip a beat. "I'm sure we can find a way to entertain ourselves at my place." As she walked away from you, she made sure to flag her tail high, making her intentions perfectly clear. You stood there in awe as you watched her back end sway from side to side, getting an eyeful of what she had to offer. Her beautiful, dark grey vulva was fully exposed and glimmered in the soft light of the setting sun, showing off exactly how excited she was. Her cute, little pink love button winked at you every so often as if to entice you further. Your hands started to sweat and tremble slightly as you stood there in a dumbfounded trance, watching her walk away. You couldn't believe what was happening. Hardly any mare in town showed any interest in you. But here was a beautiful mare you just met asking you to follow her. Had you died and gone to heaven? "Hey!" Octavia called back to you, snapping you out of your trance as she slowed her pace. She made sure to fling her tail to the side and shake her butt a little more, just in case your view wasn't good enough, or her innuendo wasn't sufficient. "Are you coming, handsome?" Piecing your mind back together, you finally smiled and nodded before catching up with her. She giggled and continued to lead the way, making sure your view was a pleasant one as you neared her apartment. There was hardly any talking as you followed the gorgeous mare to her home. Once you arrived, she wasted no time and set her cello down, but took out her bow with her teeth before leading you straight to her room. Her tail swayed back and forth, spreading her arousal around as she guided you. You knew this was more of a pony thing to do, but you could actually pick up the faint hint of her musk in the air. It smelt sweet with a slight tinge of lavender and only helped to arouse you further. Once in her room, she hopped onto her bed and laid her back against a big and long fancy red pillow that looked quite expensive. In fact, everything in her room seemed to be more on the luxurious side. She smiled and blushed as she slowly spread her hind legs open for you, giving you an even better view of her now puffy and slightly rose-coloured vulva and small teats. She was practically dripping with arousal, and you wondered if she was worried about staining her high-quality sheets. Your worries were soon put to an end as she took her bow into her hooves and directed it towards her twitching marehood. Using the high-quality wooden side, she slowly rubbed her clitoris up and down in a graceful, teasing motion that caused you to swallow the lump in your throat. You could hear her giggling as you watched, obviously enjoying your reaction as she put on a private show just for you. Once the bow was slick and glistening with her exotic essence, she cooed softly as she pressed the end of the thin, black wood onto her labia, pinning it to the side. She used her bow to pull her folds apart slightly, giving you a clearer view of her delicate pink insides. Well, she said shyly, but you could tell she was trying to maintain her eloquence. What do you think? You were already way beyond aroused at this point. Her exposed love tunnel looked so warm and inviting to you. You could see her glistening insides clenching at nothing, wanting desperately for something to hold on to. But you couldn't help but imagine what it would be like, being buried deep inside such a beautiful mare. Your manhood throbbed painfully against your pants at the thought. You couldn't wait another second. Smiling, you gave her your answer as you started to crawl onto the bed with her, a lustful look in your eyes. You could see her blush glowing brighter as you neared, and she quickly set her now dripping wet bow on the nightstand. Your movements were slow and almost predatory-like, slinking your way towards her, mocking that of a feral hunter in the wild about to pounce his prey. You were rewarded with a few giggles from the mare as she played along, hiding half of her blushing face behind her hooves as she pretended to be helpless and at your mercy. You growled softly, flashing your teeth as you positioned yourself over her, easily towering over her smaller form with your much larger and taller body. As soon as you did so, you looked down at your prey and caught a glimpse of her wide and almost worried-looking eyes. It caused you to pause, making you think you might have actually scared her, but that wasn't the case. She was hiding her muzzle behind her hooves, but you could tell she was smiling. She was just nervous. It seemed that she wasn't as confident and in control as she led you to believe. It was actually quite adorable to see her in such a vulnerable state. Seizing the opportunity, you decided to take advantage of the small leverage you had over her and tease her a little bit. Nervous? You asked with a sly smile. No, she replied, trying to make herself sound confident. She took a moment to examine just how large you really were before looking back into your eyes. It's just been a while since I was last with a stallion. And, well, I've never been with some pony with your, stature before. Chuckling, you leaned down and kissed the top of her muzzle gently before leaning back. Don't worry, you say as you start to unbuckle your belt, causing her eyes to shift downward. We'll go slow. With that, you tossed your belts to the floor, then unbuttoned your pants. You finally let your fully erect manhood free of its constraining fabric prison, letting it stand out in the open air for Octavia to see. Oh my, she whispered under her breath as she gazed upon your length for the first time. It's bigger than I was expecting. Feeling your pride swell at her words, you leaned down and let your aching member rest on top of her wet folds. You groaned softly with pleasure, feeling the intense heat emanating from her, providing you with some relief. Almost out of instinct, you started to move your hips back and forth, letting the underside of your manhood rub against her twitching marehood. Octavia moaned under her breath as she pressed her nethers up against your slowly pistoning hips, wanting to feel you rubbing against her even more. Oh, that feels so delightful, she cooed. You continued to warm her up by hot-dogging yourself between her slippery folds, coating your entire length in her natural lubricant. It was easy to tell that she was ready for the main event, but you decided to indulge yourself and tease her just a little longer, much to her added enjoyment as well. Ready? You asked as you slowed your motions and let your member rest on top of her now rapidly twitching vulva. Octavia closed her eyes for a moment, taking a few small calming breaths before shyly nodding her answer. You smiled at her adorable antics. She wasn't even trying to hide how nervous she was anymore. With a soft chuckle, you drew your hips all the way back, then used your hands to line your tip up with Octavia's now soaked entrance before gently pushing forward. She gasped in surprise as you parted and pushed past her folds. You were met with a surprisingly tight resistance, but she was so wet that it hardly mattered. You easily slipped into her welcoming depths, bottoming out inside her within seconds, causing your balls to gently slap against her back end. Her body instantly rewarded you with a powerful clench that sent a shiver down your spine. "Oh my gosh!" she moaned loudly, cracking one eye open to look down at where you were both connected. You felt her insides flex and twitch around you as her whole body quivered from the pleasure of being so deeply penetrated. "So full." Humming softly, you indulged yourself in the feeling of being held safely within her warm love tunnel, not moving for a short while. It was like a wave of relief had washed over you, but you needed more. Without saying a word, you pulled your hips back, feeling her velvety walls clench and suck along your escaping length, trying desperately to keep you deep within her. You didn't stay away for long as you quickly pushed back into her, causing her to moan loudly. You slowly started to build up a steady rhythm, pistoning your hips in and out. The sound of wet flesh slapping against wet fur echoed in the room as you both lost yourselves to your more primal instincts. Small beads of sweat started to form around Octavia's brow as your bodies grew warmer, increasing the temperature in the room as well. You could feel your own body starting to sweat. The luxurious bedsheets beneath you started to soak in your combined sweat, but you didn't slow your hips for a second. In fact, you doubled your speed, much to your lover's added pleasure. Octavia's moans grew louder and more intense as you increased your speed, encouraging you to keep going. Her hips seemed to have developed a mind of their own as they started to push back into you every time you thrust forward, pushing you even deeper into her. It was easy to tell that she was getting closer to her climax, and so were you. Her walls kept contracting around you, desperately trying to milk you for all you were worth, and it was working all too well. "Octavia," you groaned between your pants, not slowing your movement. "I'm getting close." Without saying a word, she wrapped her hind legs around your waist tightly, letting you know exactly what she wanted. With that, you quickly picked up your pace, pistoning your hips as fast as she would allow you, bringing you both over that final edge. With one final push, you buried yourself as far into her as you could go, then released everything you had. As soon as the first hot burst of seed splashed against her deepest barrier, she cried out in pleasure as her own climax took her. Her walls clenched down hard on your spurting length, while her hind legs tightened around your waist, forcing you even deeper into her welcoming depths to make sure she could retain everything you had to offer. Your whole body shook as your member continued to pulse and fire burst after burst of your hot essence deep into her core. It didn't take long for you to fill what little space she had available, and try as she might, she couldn't help what little was able to escape and leak out from your union. Finally, after what felt like hours, your climax started to subside. With a relieved sigh, the last of your orgasm escaped to the tip of your still twitching member and pulled deep inside Octavia, where the rest of your seed was now being safely stored. With the both of you now panting heavily, you wrapped your arms around your lover, pressing your large, sweaty body against her wet fur. With a happy smile, she did the same, holding you close as you both basked in your afterglow together. After a little while, you finally leaned back, breaking your small embrace. Moaning softly, you started to pull your wilting length out of Octavia's still clenching marehood. With a wet pop, you finally freed yourself, causing some of your gift to come cascading out of her now slightly gaping entrance. She shivered as your warm cum leaked over her sensitive anus, then sighed with delight. "That was wonderful," she breathed softly, looking up into your eyes. You nodded your agreement, but feared that this would be the last time you got to see her. But just as you were about to voice your concerns, she spoke up for you. "You know, this doesn't have to be the end," she cooed, spreading her legs out a little more to let you watch as your seed continued to leak out of her. "We really should do this again." Just as you were about to answer her, an eerily familiar voice spoke up from behind you, sending a cold shiver down your spine. "That was so fucking hot!" "Vinyl?" you shouted in surprise, whipping your head around to see your friend standing right next to the bed with a camera in her hooves. Vinyl quickly tackled Octavia, pulling her into a tight hug. See? I told you he would be a good lay! Oh, yes, well... Octavia said somewhat awkwardly with a bright blush, not fazed by Vinyl's sudden appearance. What the hell is going on? You shouted. How long have you been here? And were you filming us? Oh, calm your tits, Vinyl said nonchalantly as she lay next to Octavia. She opened her camera screen so that the both of them could see as she played back a few highlights from the action. I set both of you up. I knew you two would be fucking like rabbits as soon as you started talking, so it was a no-brainer. My word, Octavia whispered softly as she watched the camera screen in amazement, her eyes widening considerably while her blush grew even brighter. Good shot, right? Vinyl asked her. But, you started to say, placing a hand on your forehead, still confused about everything. Don't worry about it, champ, Vinyl said as she handed the camera to Octavia, then spread her hind legs out for you. My turn! The end. And there we go, every pony. I'm actually pretty surprised at how this one ended. I can remember I read this for the first time when I recorded it, so as to capture a bit more of that reactionary tone in my voice, but yeah, I didn't expect it to end like that, but what did you guys think? I thought it was pretty good. A bit rough around the edges, but I liked it. So, I will be back next week with The Day the Reading Died. I hope to see you all then, every pony. I'll leave my Patreon page in the description as well, so you guys can go and see the reward tiers and see if they interest you. So until then, every pony, ciao. And don't worry, cuddling is the best remedy is coming.